So everyone, let's put our hands together to invite Mr. Colin 1.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm actually quite nervous, more nervous than you think I am. Hi, so today I've been asked to speak to you as a youth leader, and I'm happy to share my story with you. So who am I? By now, you should know that my name is Colin, and I was born in 1980. I'm 32 this year, and I don't have an extraordinary background. Just like you, I went to primary school. In fact, I just went to a neighborhood school. I was from Loyang Primary School. Then I went to Loyang Secondary School. Then I went to Temasek Poly. I did my NS. And after I went to NTU. Can you have a next slide, please? Next slide. Next slide, sorry. Okay, but today's presentation is not about me. It's about what you are going to get out of my story. Before I tell you my story, let me give you a few things to think about. Let me start with a word that is very central to my life. Next slide. The word is active. You're right if you think it's about me being an active person, as I do enjoy many sports. I love the outdoors, and I love an active life. But more than that, it's most importantly about not being passive. Active is the opposite of passive, and maybe the best way to explain this is how I make active central to my life, not just physically, but the way I think and how I live my life too. For example, I strongly believe in making things happen if I want them to. It's not about waiting for something to happen to me. It's about creating chances and opportunities for myself. So for now, keep in mind this concept of being active, or maybe for a better word in this case would be proactive as you listen to my story. Next slide. These are my early influences in life when I was at your age, when I was in primary school. So even I was that young, I couldn't sit still, and my mind couldn't even be still. I was curious about everything. I wanted to know and learn more than what was offered in the classroom. What was especially interesting to me was people who had very unique and different hobbies, interests, or jobs. People who took risks and seemed daring to me. I wanted to try everything as a kid, but with limited opportunities and resources, I tried what I could. So as you can see, all these things, I've tried them in some point in my life, like martial arts, to yo-yos, skateboarding, bicycles, photography, and even magic. But today, I will talk about one of my interests that grew into a passion and even into my career as well, which I connected and engaged with my community. Next slide. So how I started. It was back in 1997. I was very 17 years old, not that young to pick up yo-yos. And there was a yo-yo craze back then. Some of you, no, I don't think most of you will be born at that time yet. And so I was together with my friends, and they had a yo-yo. So they had to go at it, and it looked easy, right? It's just a child's toy. So I had to go at it. I tried it too. And this is how I look like. My first throw in 1997. Exactly, this is what they did to me. They laughed at me. So I was a bit embarrassed, so I wind up and I tried again. Second try. It was just like that. And then I got very intrigued. Why something that looks so simple and I can't even do it? Just the basic of going down and up. So that got me very interested, and I started to learn more. So I was very active, I was proactive, and I started to ask my friends to teach me. And then I watched the videos and I learned, and after several months, I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. Okay. And then, so it just became an interest. And then in 1997, somewhere in the middle, there was a Duncan National contest. And I just thought, just try, just for fun, right? And of course, I don't deny that the cash prize was very attractive. The first prize was $1,000 in cash. Wow, yeah. So I was very determined to practice as hard as I could. That was like the first time in my life I actually joined something so grand and big. And guess what? I really did won the competition in the end. And it was such an amazing experience to stand on stage. And the crowd was so loud that it became silence at the point when I knew I won the competition. So I brought the cash prize and brought it home and told my parents. They were like, huh? You play you're being $1,000. So from there it started on, and that sparked off my whole passion of yo-yos. And along the way, I got to meet many good friends who were also passionate about yo-yos, and then we meet up every week. We practice together, we teach each other tricks. And of course, over time, over the years, you find that the popularity of yo-yo went down. It's typical craze in Singapore. Everybody into it, and then they'll just stop. And we felt that the scene of yo-yos in Singapore was actually being determined by the yo-yo companies that bring them in. So whenever they feel like they should have yo-yo craze, and then they should do it, and after they just disappear. So there was a gap in Singapore at that time. So we wanted to do something about it. And that's why a few friends and we got together and we founded Spinworks as a platform to promote yo-yos as a fun, a challenging, and a convenient alternative sport. Okay. So now, having Spinworks being a registered entity now, an official entity, that actually allows us to perform shows. We conduct workshops and classes in schools and in community clubs. We organize the National Yo-Yo Championships every year since 2003 to help raise awareness and to share with the public that actually we are around and we are there. Can you go back to the previous slide first? Thank you. Then in 2007, that was a turning point in my life. That's when I graduated from NTU with an engineering degree. So at that time, of course, the clearest option was to just apply for an engineering job and just be an engineer. But it felt like the whole path of my life would be like laid out, and I could see everything, and there didn't seem to be any more excitement in life to look forward to. I like something a bit more adventurous and something more exciting. So I didn't just jump the boat like that. I did speak to a few seniors and mentors, to ask how would an engineer lifestyle be like. And that helped me to reaffirm that isn't quite my cup of tea. So I asked myself, what's next? What can I do so that I can wake up every morning and I look forward to work and not feel dreaded and it's going to end up being a boring day and so on. And at that point of time in my life, yo-yos seemed to be the clearest option to me, because that was what I was really good at, and I think there's something that I think there's a potential gap in Singapore that I can do with. Okay. And then so now when I jump and did Spinworks full time, I have no idea of what I'm going to do. How do I actually do what I want to do now. And the first idea that came to my mind was that I think we needed a physical store presence. Because when we started in 2003, all we had was to sell yo-yos on the weekends in a plastic box that we put in the back of a car. And sometimes it's embarrassing because the parents can accompany the kids down to buy the yo-yos, and we look dubious, like we might just disappear the next day. So I strongly believe that with a physical store, it makes us look more professional. It makes us look that we are really committed to the sport. And at the point of time, actually a lot of people do not believe in the idea of opening a yo-yo store because the sustainability, nobody's going to do it. And the sad part is even the yo-yo players themselves think that the store is not a feasible idea. But I did not let that deter me. I still believe that a store is the way to go. And another reason why I wanted a store presence so much was because during that time, everywhere when we meet to play yo-yos in a shopping mall, we would be chased away by the security guards. And we are not doing anything wrong, we're just hanging out playing yo-yos, but the security guard will just chase us out of the mall. And so that also motivated me to have a store so that we have a legit reason to be there. And in 2007, I was offered a very unusual opportunity, and we were offered a small retail space at a very affordable rent. And that was when we opened our first store in 2007 at Suntec City. And actually, it doesn't look very much. It looks very underwhelming, but it was a big deal to me and to my friends. So we treated this shop as our headquarters. And with the base established, we continue to focus on how to improve our public awareness. We try to conduct as much workshops as possible. We do more performances and organize annual competitions. And in 2009, there was another very successful yo-yo craze. Some of you might remember that now. It's the Super Yo-Yo time. How many of you have heard of Super Yo-Yo? So that was actually done by Spinworks. Okay? And we managed to raise enough funds, and then we expanded our store. Can we go to the next slide? Next slide. And that was how it looked like in 2009. Wow. I was really proud of this store back then. So can you imagine, it started out from a plastic box. And then it went to the photo before that, and finally it became what I envisioned it to be. So it took like 3 years to be that store. Of course, since then we have moved on. We have just relocated to Orchard Central since this year. Now, so this is an example of how we created a physical presence to help boost the scene. And there was another problem that we identified in the yo-yo scene. How do we increase the standards of yo-yos in Singapore? You know, there's the skill-wise. And we believe it's competition, but if every year we hold the national championships, it's just the same bunch of people, and the standard will normally just increase a little bit by a little bit. And at that time, there was only one major competition, which is the World Yo-Yo Contest. Think of it as the Olympics of yo-yo. It's the biggest deal. Oh dear. But the problem is, it's always held in Florida, USA. Okay? And to actually fly there to compete, the air ticket alone costs $3,000. How are you going to expect a kid, and then plus the parents to bring them there, and then they're going to spend like almost $6,000 to $7,000 just to join a yo-yo competition? So there was another gap there, and we had to do something about it. So we innovated, and why not we create like an Asia-Pacific competition? So that's how that led us to create this flagship event of ours. It's called the Asia-Pacific Yo-Yo Championships, where the best of Asia will actually come down to compete. Okay? And recently, in July, last month only, we successfully held our 9th Asia Pacific Championships, 13 countries and up to 200 participants. So the best of Asia coming down to compete. Okay, on the next slide. And over here, so there are many rewards that I have encountered in Spinworks so far. And one of the most inspiring moments was to actually witness young people like you. On the screen here, you can see Marcus Cole and Christopher Chia. They started completely new to yo-yos. They were just like me and how I demonstrated just now. And they started when I believe they were at primary 4 when they were 10 years old back then. And they worked very hard. And they actually made it all the way to the World Championships. And Marcus won first. That put Singapore on the roadmap. And suddenly people across the world, they look forward to the yo-yo players in Singapore because we produce some of the best spinners now. Okay, the next slide. And this is the group photo of last month when all the guys came down for the Asia Pacific Championships. Okay, next slide. No, the one before. Okay. Now, the story you heard about Spinworks is not just about a hobby that grew into a business. It's about how there were many learning opportunities along the way, from trial and error, from meeting friends and mentors and learning from them. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, from being actively engaged, all the while in trying to make the best of each idea that I had or that was shared with me. What I hope that you can take away from my experience that I just shared is that it doesn't matter what it is that you enjoy doing, or it doesn't matter if you don't even know what you might be passionate about yet. All this takes time to figure out. You're still very young. The little bit of advice that I want to share with you is to enjoy the process and experience of finding out what inspires you, what moves you, and what interests you. Don't wait to be told what to do. Don't wait to be shown how to do it. Don't expect things to just fall into your lap. Instead, actively look out for chances, for opportunities, any kind of way you can learn something new. Try something out and don't forget to have fun while doing it. The learning you are experiencing will never stop after you leave the classroom or even after you leave school. Keep looking out for chances to learn more, do more, and be more. That's being proactive. That's making things happen for yourself. As you grow and learn and test your limits by challenging yourself positively, I hope you also get to experience and enjoy something that benefits more than just yourself. In my case, it's amazing to be involved in something positive that helps my community. For example, like how Spinworks have helped many youth to pick up positive habits and experiences. So at the start of my speech, I said it's not about me. It's about what you are going to get out of my story. Next slide. And now at the close of my speech, I'd like to mention again that it is about you. You have the power to choose to be active about how you are going to shape your life when you grow up, or even now. It's about how you choose to actively make things happen for yourself. Be a doer and not someone who waits around and envies others. Can you have the next slide? So this is the last slide. I just want to end that. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. You can see actually it's a long, narrow ladder going out to a door. Okay. And maybe at the end, shall I show you what I can do with my yo-yos now? You're just waiting for this part only, right? All right, so that was just like the basics of yo-yos that I showed earlier on. And now this is how modern spinning looks like. else to my presentation. Now you think that I look very impressive on stage, and the only difference between me and why I can do this and why you cannot do it yet is that because I was passionate about it and I spent the time and effort to practice. That's all. There's no big secret. The secret to you or anything in life that you want to do is just practice and having the heart and soul to do it. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.